Welcome to Aging, Healthcare, and Everything in Between. I'm your host, Stephanie Pogue, and today we are joined by Shari Ross. Shari is a senior living coach and consultant and the author of Senior Living Made Simple. But let me tell you, she has guided hundreds of families through the challenges and confusion of elder care and memory care and long-term planning. And she does that by using her signature simple method. So thank you for joining us.
Hi, Stephanie. It's so nice to be here. And I think it's wonderful that you have this podcast going and you're going to be able to answer so many people's questions. It's such an important topic to explore.
Yes, and I'm excited to talk to you about it because I think this is something that every person who has an aging parent needs to know about. You know, sometimes we're lucky enough and we plan for retirement, right? Some people know where they want to live and how they want to live and exactly who's going to take care of them if something happens. But what I find is that most of the time we don't plan and our parents don't plan. Nobody ever thinks it's going to happen to them. And then when something does happen, a fall, a surgery they're not bouncing back from, whatever, we as the kids are overwhelmed. We are panicked. We are confused. We have no idea what to do. So I love that your method sort of makes very actionable steps. And I'm interested in hearing more about that. And it's called the simple method, right?
Yes, it is the simple method. And it even is for us. So, inevitably we are aging too, and we're going to be at that position. And so the book is not only for the adult child, who is trying to help their parent or their loved one or even their spouse, but it's also for us to even start preparing for our golden years because they will come. And, we prepare for graduations, we prepare for weddings, we prepare for vacations. A lot of us just don't want to think about preparing for after retirement because it's, for some people, it's a morbid thought. And same thing with, getting together all that paperwork that we need in our older years, whether that's Medicare related or long-term care or any of those things, because we just don't want to. We don't want to think about it, but it is so, so vital. So with my method, it's a framework around the whole process of how we're going to figure out what we're going to do with our loved ones or ourselves as we age. So the word is senior living made simple. We all know it's not simple, but this hopefully will help us make it more simple. And the book tells a lot of stories and has a lot of humor because this is not the most uplifting topic. And so I wanted to make it readable and not just like a textbook. But with the simple method, each letter stands for a word. So I'll kind of go through that if that's
Yes,
okay.
please.
So S is for support. Support, meaning we need support. We cannot do this on our own. We need to have friends. We need family. We need professionals, whether that be geriatric care managers, social workers, physicians, around us, because we can't be expected to help our parents or our spouse on our own. It's just too much. So make sure you have that support. I is for information, meaning we must have the information at our fingertips before something happens at 2 a.m. in the ER. We need to make sure that we know what's out there, what our options are, what to look for, and have that kind of prepared ahead of time. So we're not panicking at the last second. And then M is for matching. So every type of senior living is different. It has different qualities, and every person is different and has different care needs and has a different personality. So there may be some mom or dad or husband or wife that is a very, very social person and wants to be around 150 other seniors in a big senior living community, assisted living or independent living. And that's great for them. But, then you have somebody who's a little bit more of a loner who really doesn't want all the activities and all that stuff, but maybe they need a lot of assistance or care, hands-on support. And so maybe a boarding care with 6 beds might be a better option for them. So when you're going and touring at different places, don't just say, oh, this is amazing because it's got this gorgeous chandelier and these beautiful living room and chef inspired meals, but that might not be the right place for your loved one. So don't look for it because it's like what you want. Look for a place because you need to find the right situation for your loved one. Okay, and then P, preparation. Obviously huge because we need to have all of our ducks in a row. So whether that means having your legal documents together, your power of attorney health, financial, your long-term care insurance paperwork, if there is any long-term care, hopefully, but probably not. But it might be buried in a box in the garage somewhere in your parents' home, and you need to make sure you have that and know the details of it, and how long is the waiting period, and really what will it pay out, so that you can plan ahead with your budget and your financing, because we all know this is a very expensive time period. So making sure we have all of those end of life, know your parents' wishes. How do they want to die, basically? How make sure that you're preparing for all of these things, because I will tell you, when you go to sign on the dotted line at a senior living community, or even if you're staying home and getting home care, there's a lot of paperwork that goes into it. So have all that there and ready, so you don't have to search and try to find at the last second. Okay, so L. L is the emotional letter, because it's for letting go. And letting go is twofold. One side of it is letting go of guilt. There is so much guilt that goes on with this process, not knowing, is this the right decision? Is my mom going to be safe? Is my mom going to be happy? So there's a lot of guilt, and we want to know that we are doing our very best, and that's all we can do. And so let go of feeling like you have to be perfect and you have to be superwoman or man, and that you are doing this out of love and caring, and that's where that guilt is coming from. It's just a form of love, but let go of feeling like you have to do it perfect, because it's never going to be perfect. I will tell you that. The other side of letting go is letting go of the stuff, because when you move into a senior living community, you have to let go of the beautiful antique table and your 50 years of china collection, right? You cannot take everything with you. You take the most important things, but you have to pare down, and you have to also let go of your house in some situations. And that's hard. There's a lot of emotional attachment to our stuff and our things, but in the end, the quality of life and this care and the safety is all going to be a lot more important than those things. So let go. And then finally, we have E, which is for engagement. So even after a parent or a loved one moves into a senior living community of any sort, you want to stay engaged with them. Don't just say, okay, well, they're there now, they're safe, goodbye. You want to make sure you have your, maybe a weekly routine with them. If your dad and you enjoyed playing checkers every Friday night, keep that going. If your mom is a huge theater buff, take her out and go see a play, every month, or whatever it is that you guys used to do. Don't just end it because they're there now. So stay engaged. Make sure you're having meals with them. But now, do it in a way that you are their daughter or their son or their wife or their husband, because you do not need to be the caregiver per se anymore. You can just have that wonderful relationship with them. Hopefully it's wonderful, but have that relationship with them in a very different way, but stay engaged with them. So that's the framework. It's pretty simple. It's pretty obvious, but it works. It helps people to just have that in their mindset of things they need to do to prep.
It sounds very simple, but when you list out all of those things, it's a lot and it's overwhelming. And so I would think just even having the conversations is a start. Being able to take this as the framework and have those conversations with your parents or loved ones is important.
Absolutely.
So you not only have you helped other families, you're kind of going through this with your own family as well. What kind of mistakes do you see people make right up front when they're new to this? arena.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of misconceptions, right? So, first of all, the one thing that I always like to start with is making sure that terminology is right, because when
Mm,
we're just starting to talk to our loved ones about the possibility of moving to a senior living community, oftentimes we use the word facility or
mm,
nursing home or old folks home or something of that sort. And right off the bat, that's going to scare your loved one off because they're going to picture, in most cases, what they remember their parents doing in terms of going to a old, dark, sterile nursing home, which nowadays such a different thing. I mean, there's so many wonderful options out there for people to continue living in a really, really, productive and wonderful, beautiful way. And so we want to kind of start with that. Call it a community because that conjures up the idea of like, being around people, like-minded people, and having community around us. And that's truly what it is. So let's not get caught up in these like gross, ugly words that facility just sounds so sterile. And we're not going to jail. We're going to a lovely home. And so that's one. The other thing is I want people to understand that moving to a senior living community is not going to make you lose your independence. This is actually the opposite. I see people all the time sitting in their house, watching TV all day, no longer driving, but not really either having the ability to understand how to do Uber or just not wanting to, because once you start isolating, it kind of feeds on itself and you sort of just start really continuing to isolate, and which in turn can start causing some potential memory loss, and then it's just a vicious cycle. So so I see all these people doing this and they're not living really. And I wouldn't call them very independent at that point. So once they go and transition into a senior living community, oh my gosh, now everything's at their fingertips. They can, go to the movie theater 2 levels up. They can get rides for free in the shuttle and go to Target and go to the movies or the store or whatever. They have the ability now to have fun and enjoy themselves without having to cook meals, clean, do laundry, or any of those things. And they can be more independent and do what they want, as opposed to being tied down doing menial things that they no longer want to do. And I do believe that, once you're in the right setting, let's say you need help with taking medications, like you're not remembering what to take or how to take them. Now you've got somebody there helping you with that. So in turn, your health potentially could improve. You're probably getting either physical therapy or you're just moving more, maybe taking a chair yoga class or, a sit and be fit class, or you're walking around the grounds with people. So you're moving more, you're more physically active. You're cognitively getting way more stimulation, whether that means because you're going to a book club or a painting class or, a discussion class about whatever history, because all of these places provide such types of classes and programming now. So you really can get a lot more quality of life out of, every day versus sitting there just kind of wasting away and waiting to die.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I've been in the Medicare industry for 20 years. I've seen, you go into people's houses and they're just sitting watching TV. They can barely walk around and cook their meals, and their house gets more and more cluttered, and they're not able to drive. And that's no way to live. And now, like these independent communities or even the assisted communities, they're so nice. They're so nice. It is not what it
Even
used to be.
memory care. No,
Yeah.
even memory care communities. I mean, they provide a real important product, which is to help to slow down the decline of memory, or just to, if you're in the thick of it, to really help you just have moments during your day of enjoyment. And even though you may not remember what you just did 10 minutes ago, you can still have moments, and people, even with memory loss, can still live in a
Yes.
very wonderful way, and enjoy themselves to some degree. So yeah, all
Yeah.
of those things are true.
Yeah. I do think it takes planning though. It takes
It
planning. You
does.
can't just, get the call that someone's leaving the hospital that day and what are we going to do?
Hmm.
So how do you have any tips on how to kind of start that conversation with your family, with your parents or loved
Yeah.
ones to make them start thinking about it?
It's such a hard thing. It really is
Yes.
because, yeah, people don't want to face what is the inevitable.
Mhm.
And I will say most people, of course, want to stay in their home, and live there forever. And that's wonderful, but it's just not practical in a lot of cases. Whether that means the house is not ready or it's not going to be safe for somebody who maybe is in a walker or a wheelchair. Maybe it's not ADA compliant. Maybe there's just not, maybe it's a bathtub and they have to step over the bathtub in order to take a shower. It just, there's
Right.
a lot of ways a home cannot be safe. So, yeah, even though you want to stay home, it's just, not always possible. You may need care that just is just outside the realm of just bringing in a random caregiver, and having to schedule that all the time. So, there's a lot of hard things. So, I definitely think that you need to start early, but you have to sort of do it in small doses. Um,
Okay.
you're never going to have one conversation with a loved one and then they're going to be like, oh, yeah, okay, great. Let's go to the
Mhm.
assisted living. You know, let's go.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen that way. So you got to just little by little start talking and ask questions. Never say to a loved one, you seem like you're losing your memory, or you don't look like you're very healthy. Let's go, you need to go to a place where you can get better care. Like if you're going to just tell them stuff, like they're not going to listen, they're going to block you out and they are going to argue and push back, right? That's
Just
we
like
all
kids.
I was just gonna say, just like with toddlers, with kids, like you have to make small suggestions and then eventually make it almost feel like they are making that choice themselves. But start asking questions like, what is your what do you picture yourself doing in 5 years? Where do you picture yourself living? And then inevitably they're going to say in my house. And then you'll
Mhm.
say, well, how do you feel like if you let's say you have a fall and now you're needing to be in a wheelchair. Like, what do you feel like would be the best way to help you? Because your house is not capable of having a wheelchair. You've got stairs, you've got, different levels perhaps. So kind of start getting them to think about like what would feel safe to them in their later years. And then maybe start asking, are you enjoying cooking for yourself every day? Or are you enjoying doing your laundry still? Or, how do you think it would be, how do you think it would feel if you had somebody doing all the chores and the tasks for you so that you could go and, play cards with your buddies every day? Or, just kind of chill out and maybe pick up a new hobby. So just kind of put in their head, like, is this what you really want to be doing, in 10 years? Or do you want help with that? And start letting them picture what it could look like if maybe perhaps they're not in the house anymore. And the biggest thing I would say is to take away the scariness of it, take them to a community, have lunch with them there as if it's just a restaurant, because a lot of these communities now just will allow you to come in, have lunch, enjoy the food, maybe take a tour, but you don't need to, because I don't want, your loved one to immediately feel this sense of pressure or like somebody's trying to sell them something. So go have lunch, meet with some of the other residents that maybe they can relate to, start having them talk to them and have conversations. Like maybe they'll get the idea that maybe, oh, it's not such a scary concept now, and these people are like me and they like it here, and so maybe I might like it too. So just gradually introduce them to the concept that a senior living community is not that scary after all,
It's not a nursing home where they're just going to wait until
and
they die.
die.
It's not like that
Yeah,
anymore. Yeah.
and they'll see
We
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're doing this with a couple of people in my own family, and one of them, my husband's grandmother, she was absolutely, she's in her 90s, absolutely, no, 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 I'm not doing it. I'm staying in my house. And we did that. We didn't take her to lunch, but we took her to one and let her tour around. She's like, okay, this is not so bad. Now she hasn't
Okay.
moved in yet, but we're opening the door.
It takes time. It's not,
Yeah.
it's a gradual process. So, unfortunately, though, there are many cases where you have to make an immediate decision, unfortunately, because in fact, in the case of my father-in-law, I had been slowly introducing the idea, asking him how he would feel about an assisted living community because he was sitting at home kind of wasting away and not eating properly, probably not taking his meds properly, until he fell and was found on the floor hours later by his brother. And he had a broken hip and he had to go to the hospital and then to rehab. Well, after rehab, there was just no way he could go back home. So we had to place him in an assisted living. Well, we had been talking to him about it and he was totally adamant against it. No way am I doing that. But by the time he had fallen and had this very scary episode, it was in his mind. And so now he was like, well, yeah, maybe this is probably the best thing for me. So
Yeah.
we had already been, while he was in the hospital in rehab, we had been looking and we found, the perfect place for him. And right after rehab, he moved in and then cut to a month or two later, different guy. I mean, 10 years younger in his face. He's moving. He was so isolated and not doing anything. Now he's playing cards with new friends with these guys. He's doing chair yoga. He's,
Yeah.
really getting physically a lot stronger with physical therapy as well. And just eating better and getting his medications correct every day. So his quality of life has improved drastically. I'm not going to say this happens with every single person. It doesn't. Not everybody finds this level of success. But in most cases, and from what I've seen with so many families, the thing I hear the most is, I wish I did this 5 years ago. No matter how resistant your loved one is, I can almost promise you that once they do move, give them a month or so to get situated and comfortable with it, but they're going to enjoy being in this new environment for the most part. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a change, but the interaction for them is good.
and
Yeah,
change is so hard. Change is
it
very,
is.
very, very difficult for all of us, but especially for seniors to have to get up and leave their home of 50 or 60 years. That's a challenge.
Yeah.
So this is a process, and you want to try to beat the emergency.
Hmm.
So just at least if you're prepared and knowledgeable about what the options are before a big incident like this, like a big fall or, hospitalization, then at least you're ahead of the game in that way.
Yeah. Well, I have a ton more questions, but I know we want to, I can't talk to you forever about this. So we can, we can be kind of wrap it up. But if people do want to know more information about the method, about your book, about the workbooks, where can they go?
Yeah, so you can definitely go to my website, which is seniorlivingmadesimple.com. You can order the books there, or you can go on to Amazon.com, or anywhere online books are sold, Barnes and Nobles, Walmart, all of those online stores. And then you can also, on my website, you can sign up for a one-on-one consultation with me to kind of go through whether it's a 30-minute quick kind of a few questions you need to ask, or 60-minute or 90-minute, or I walk you through the whole process over a period of weeks or months. So I kind of think of it as someone there to hold your hands, and to hopefully in a compassionate and understanding way guide you through this whole process. Whether you're just starting out and you're ahead of the game or you're in the thick of it.
That would be really helpful for a lot of people. So
I hope
thank you for
so.
joining us today.
I thank you for allowing me to be here with you, Stephanie. It was really, really nice experience, and I look forward to sharing more information with you down the road.
Thanks for listening to another edition of the Aging, Healthcare, and Everything in Between podcast. Please share this podcast so that others can benefit from the content. Please also leave reviews as feedback is important to me. And if you have any suggestions for a future episode, email them to s.pogue@stlouisinsurancegroup.com. Thanks again for listening, and I look forward to bringing you more valuable content soon.